Free speech dies in Victoria. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I want to talk about a Facebook post shared by writer Evan Mulholland discussing, what's happening in Victoria regarding, a worse version of 18C, even less freedoms. Soon, you could be fined or arrested for wrongthing. My concern is, with all of this policing of speech and potentially inciting someone against someone else, you'll have people will only realize what's been passed through Parliament when they're dragged away, when they have a normal conversation in public and they're arrested. Remember the old lady in the UK who was critical of people having prayers in Speaker's Corner, which isn't allowed, and then the police, she filmed it, put it up, police wouldn't do anything about it, and then they knocked on her door and dragged her away. The UK is a mess, everyone. Western countries, we're losing our rights. I'm thinking some people will realize, how many of our, or how much power we have given the state. Maybe they only wake up and appreciate what's been done when it's a little too late. Now, we saw with the cash ban that public outrage, public action could address and influence the political outcome. I think, frankly, most people aren't aware or don't really care about some of these speech restrictions. I would advocate that, sunlight is the best cleanser of bad speech, not the state. I think the state getting involved is dangerous because then it can be used for political motives. And I seriously, I'd be shocked if anyone isn't aware that that can happen. So let's look at what Evan has written here. So Daniel Andrews, 18C on steroids. Today, the Victorian Parliamentary Committee for Legal and Social Issues reported on an inquiry into anti-vilification laws. Its recommendation equate to an 18C on steroids and should frighten any Victorian or Australians that value free speech. We don't have free speech in this country, everyone. It's an important thing that we should advocate for. And I know the problem is you can have a rational conversation with someone and share your opinions, and, that could be wrongthink. You could get in trouble. The broadening of protected attributes, just think about this, under the Racial and Religious Tolerance Act include everything on the identity politics pyramid: gender and or sex, sexual orientation, gender identity and or religious expression, sex characteristics and or intersex status, disability, HIV/AIDS status, and personal association. Would make Victorian anti-vilification law completely unworkable and dangerous. This is the problem. It's going to stifle public debate. Even if there are judges reasonable in assessing these things, just the process itself is enough to silence people. You don't want to go to court. You don't want to deal with all this rubbish. And usually the people in these identity or in these minority groups can get government funding and support for their political means. They can take you to court and destroy your life. That's enough. This is where our nation is heading right now, everyone. And I think it's heading that way because most normal people are probably, frankly, too busy to be involved in politics. I'm hoping people will wake up and realize this should be a non-partisan issue. Freedom of speech should be something that all Australians appreciate and respect. It's that simple. The aim of these recommendations are sinister. They don't seek to protect people but to silence debate. That's the biggest risk. No one in Victoria will ever be able to have a conversation about issues like women in sport, for example, without fear of criminal or civil legal action. That's it, everyone. It's controlled speech, limiting your speech. I think people won't realize what's happened until, until they get done. Until they get done. Here, you know, as a moderator on a forum, you're legally liable for any potential post that people put on there. If someone defames someone else, you're liable for it. You could be done. There was a Facebook moderator that I think she ended up having to pay $100,000 in damages because someone posted on there and they didn't remove it. That's Australia, everyone. We're not the US. Don't kid yourself. Recommendation 8 is to lower the civil incitement test from conduct that incites to conduct that is likely to incite. This is an outrageous infringement on freedom of speech. So if your conduct is not, you don't need to incite people, it just needs to be likely to incite people. How broad could that be? How dangerous could that be? So what if you have a tyrannical government and you're just calling out some of the issues there? What if you're doing a YouTube video critical of the cash ban and the fact that our politicians, none of them were sitting in the bloody chamber when everyone else was giving speeches? Could that likely incite people? It could, get them angry, it could rile them up. I doubt it could incite people, but, it doesn't have to. If it's broad enough, it can be used for political purposes. This is the authority we're giving our leaders over us. And frankly, because I think most people aren't paying attention. Because, well, we're working our asses off. Because we're taxed to the hilt. People you've got so many people that are terrified about what's going on in the world. Rightly or wrongly they are. People are afraid. They're not paying attention to these things. It dropped off my radar, everyone. I'm not in Victoria. Still, I can see the same thing happening here in Queensland. You've got also the 18C laws in Victoria. Recommendation 20 lowers the threshold for criminal vilification offences to include that you must not, on the ground of one of the protected attributes, intentionally or recklessly engage in conduct that is likely to incite hate against or severe ridicule of that class of persons. So if what you're saying could be seen as inciting hate against a class of people or ridicule someone, that's considered criminal vilification. What's happening to Australia, everyone? We're not the laid-back larrikin nation that we were portrayed as. Is this because we're shifting to a more multicultural society? A more less left-leaning authoritarian society, now where they want to regulate your speech? You could be, here's the question. What if you're joking with a friend and then someone else overhears it and reports you to the police? Can you see that happening? You'll be afraid to talk. That's what they want. Assessing the likelihood of an emotional outcome of another person is not a legal standard and invites human rights bureaucrats to silence Victorians based on their own values. 100%. He's right here. We've got someone we know working at a school, a rainbow school. You know what a rainbow school is? I didn't know what it was. It's interesting. Look it up. The serious issues with it is that just like Section 18C at the federal level, the proposed anti-vilification laws are vaguely worded and contain no objective standard for unlawful speech. Each judge will have their own view on what is likely to incite hatred or severe ridicule. The failure to act... See, this is the thing. The failure to set out an objective rule about what is lawful and unlawful speech enables arbitrary judgments by courts and undermines the rule of law. If someone commits a crime like robbery, it's clear that they're breaking the law. The way these laws are framed is that anyone could be having a difficult but important discussion on these topics and not knowing that their conversation is unlawful. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. Someone would probably have what they consider a polite conversation. And I bet you most people will only learn about this when someone they know is arrested. Can you see it now? I can see it now. I can see the outrage on Facebook. How did this happen? This is also an attack on press freedom. Without a doubt, media organizations will be forced to think twice about publishing any news or opinions on these issues, given the dangerously low threshold of likely to invite hatred or severe ridicule. You can't even hate people now, everyone. You can't even hate people. That's it. Our state doesn't want you to hate someone. You're not allowed to hate someone. You can't even ridicule someone. Do they have, what about obesity here? Hang on. Could that be considered a disability? Maybe. Or personal association? Personal association. What's that mean? What? Can we not make fun of people who associate with rampant lefties? Or what about critical of obese people? That could be severe ridicule? What about tough love that some people need? This is a problem. This can just evolve into even more of a snowflake culture. The report recommends awareness campaigns about the vilification laws. Awareness campaigns. Propaganda. More money pissed away that we don't have. Fantastic. Yep. Don't worry. You're never going to get a pay rise. Government will tax you to the earth. They'll prop up housing and every other bloody thing. But we'll have awareness campaigns. They want to create awareness about 18C by soliciting complaints about Bill Leak's cartoons. Not only do the political class want to stifle debate on these issues, but they want to use taxpayer money to do it. Well, they use taxpayer money for everything. That's all they do. Recommendation 28 wants the Victorian government to fund organisations such as Victorian Legal Aid to engage in strategic litigation on vilification matters. There you go. To develop practice in this area. They want to fund legal cases. There'll be people could you imagine this? There'll be people sitting there trying to find cases they can fine you with. They can take to court. That's insane. And he's saying Andrew Bolt will be the first. Just think about that. Think about that. Your own money taken away from you by force. You've got no choice. Used to punish you and fellow citizens for wrong thing. Welcome to Australia. Welcome to Victoria. Is this the country you want to live in, everyone? Is this the state you want to live in? The problem is, any liberty-minded free speech person is going to get out of Victoria when they can. I don't blame them. But then we just need to let Victoria secede. Forget it. I think is Victoria beyond saving, guys? Should we just build a wall and let them become their own country and let it run into the ground, cut off all power, all water to Victoria, and just let them try and survive? And then when they come crawling back, let's see what happens. We got ports in other countries, other states. We'll be fine. Maybe this is the sign that the Federation needs to end. I'm being half facetious here because this is disgusting. This disease will spread to other states. It already has. And this is the most concerning thing. This is why I wanted to read this, because this highlights the fact that we need to get more and more people politically active. Even about things like this. You may not think this affects you, but this is just, if not more important than the cash ban. It is another element of control from the state on you. Because sensible people, most people won't be out there inciting violence. You'll be having a normal conversation where you're not quite sure about something, or maybe you've got more traditional views, and boom, you could wind up in jail. Boom, you could be fined. Boom, you got to pay some freak $15,000. That's the world. That's what Australia is turning into. They want to regulate your speech. That's very dangerous. That's not... That is going to result in more tribalism. That's dangerous. You don't want tribalism in a multicultural society. You don't want separation and isolation. You want a melting pot and a mixing of ideas. You want cultures to merge and evolve. We don't want Australia to wind up like some of these other countries. I keep thinking of Yugoslavia, how it fell apart. So it's official. The Institute of Public Affairs is the only organisation in Victoria that supports equality before the law. And this is from the report. The Institute of Public Affairs opposed inclusion of further attributes on the basis that any protected attributes are inconsistent with formal equality. However, this was the only evidence received throughout the inquiry that supported this position. They're the only ones that put that position forward, of not adding more to the grab bag of special protected groups. Even the Victorian Gay and Lesbian Rights Lobby agrees with the IPA on the point of moving vilification laws into the criminal space, presumably because of threats to their free speech when discussing religion. In fact, they actually say that. How about we just agree on removing all protected attributes to allow open and free debate? What? This inquiry was instigated by Fiona Patten after she introduced a similar bill. She is wrong on this. Wasn't she a libertarian? What is going on in Victoria? What is going on? Here we go. People are frightened. This is from the Liberalist Down Under, where he shared it. And here's the IPA submission, everyone. And I will link to this so you can go through it in your own time. Let's have a look at some of the headings. Victoria's vilification laws are liberal, undemocratic, will damage social cohesion, and consequently are an assault on human dignity. Victoria's vilification laws are vague and subjective, which enables the arbitrary judgment of courts and undermines the rule of law. You don't want to go to a court. The process itself will scare people into silence, will destroy debate. Then there'll be the protected groups that will use this for their political purpose. This is the slippery slope, everyone. The serious vilification provisions are poorly defined and set a low threshold for imposing criminal penalties. And they're going to be funding people to do it. They're going to be funding people to do it. So, there we have it, everyone. An interesting take by Evan on this. And I'd recommend you go through their submission. I'll link to the full report as well if you'd like to go through it. But everyone, it's concerning. And it's just going to slip through if more people aren't made aware and active. This should be a non-political issue. Free speech should be something that all Australians advocate for. It shouldn't be partisan. Every side of the political spectrum should advocate for free speech, because once you give the authority to the state to shut you up, what'll happen? It's very dangerous. This is probably the most dangerous thing that's occurring here in Australia, because the ramifications of this can be terrifying. What do you think? Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube, Patreon. You can support us using affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.